Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Sippin' Tea with Nat and Z. I'm Nat.
And I am Z. What up, what up, what up?
Sup. Nothing.
Yeah,
What's up
pretty
with
much
you?
same with me. I got new glasses, so I'm trying to get used to those.
Mm-hmm.
In your 40s, your
Girl,
eyesight does go.
you and I both know that's why I now have to wear glasses all the time.
Yeah,
I never had to
yeah.
wear glasses all the time, and now I
No.
do. But I'm about to go on VoogMe and get me some cute other little frames, though.
Well, I got these from Warby Parker.
Oh, I looked at them. Did you try them on the web on the app first?
Yeah, I did the virtual try on.
Mm-hmm.
You know who else has good ones that I saw? It was like Zelu or Zeelloo.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And then there's another one. And I liked their glasses a little bit better than the
Mm-hmm.
Warby Parker. But Warby Parker just seemed to look a little bit more legitimate in terms of the setup,
Right. That's what
getting
I
my
thought.
prescription right. They even test your it's some type of distance that you have to
Yes.
have.
Mm-hmm.
So they measured that as well.
Oh, good.
So I'm still adjusting to them. With anything, it takes a while.
Yeah.
So it gives you the headache and So
Yes.
I'm just trying to get used to them. So um, I'm not a fan of this at all.
Understood.
But it is what it is. But
Part of being in your 40s, y'all.
yeah, it is.
Mm.
Shit just starts
Mm.
breaking down
Yeah.
all the way down.
That part. You know.
It's
Anything else
just
going on?
no, no. It's
My
just
baby girl turned 21 this weekend.
oh yeah, that's right.
Bow,
Happy
bow, bow,
birthday.
bow, bow, bow.
Happy birthday, Jordan. Yes, yes. The a full 2-1, 21, 21. 21, 21, 21.
She's 21 and 21.
Yes, 21 and 21. That's what I'm talking about. That's
I
what I'm
can't
talking about.
I can't move. I'm gonna just sit still right now.
Yeah,
Okay?
so we're having technical difficulties over here. Um, we had to rig Natalie's microphone because it
Yes.
was missing the phone piece.
Mm-hmm.
So
Don't
she
know where
now
that is.
has, yeah, we've now used Hood MacGyver techniques to
Yes.
prevent it from sounding like she's beatboxing.
Yes,
So
so I don't
just,
Jimmy rigged.
yeah.
We're gonna call it that. We're gonna
Yes,
call
that's
it
what we're
that.
going to call it. So
So,
today's episode is the homecoming edition, PWIs and HBCUs.
mm-hmm.
So we're going to have a nice, spirited, even balanced conversation.
Yes, we may delve into this later on another part and have like some other folks from each talk about their experiences, but that's further down the road. So this is literally the intro overview of how we see it
Yes,
and our research and stuff. So,
yes. So we're going to get into the tea of the day.
mm-hmm.
Um, we are not tea experts. Talk to your doctor when drinking herbal tea, as there could be some side effects when mixed with some medication. Should not be a substitute for medication. We're not affiliated with any of these companies, nor are these endorsements. So, the tea on
Right.
the table.
So we're talking about PWIs and HBCUs. This is a perfect time to talk about the benefits of tea and what they can bring you while you are in college. I don't remember. I think I drank a lot of tea in college. However,
I think I just drank a lot.
Long Island iced tea, is that what you talk about? You talk about that
Might
type
have
of tea.
been, might have
Might have
been.
been that tea.
It
I
might have been
understand.
some leaves
Woo!
dispersed somewhere in the
Yes.
college experience,
Yes. My
but I don't think that they were tea leaves.
So yes. So it improves memory, specifically green teas, and we all need that for
Yes,
studying. Boosts focus and concentration, green and white tea.
yes,
So
perfect.
very good for that. Cleanses liver. We uh that drinking comment. That's why you need the dandelion root tea, okay? The
Get your
drink
liver clean.
get your liver clean and release stress, which it does. Like for me, it's just like a take a sip of tea and like all is right with the world. And then promotes better sleep. Chamomile tea is lovely and it strengthens the immune system, okay? And all of
So,
y'all know walking around the dorm in the showers, that is no, you need to make sure you have your immune system right because germs are afoot.
Yes.
So
And I'm
that's it.
sorry for us laughing in the middle of this, but like we told you, when the piece falls off, Natalie might start sounding like she's beatboxing. And that is what happened right in the middle of her giving you the benefits of drinking tea as a college student.
We're gonna take a commercial break for myself when Z starts talking, and I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna Jimmy rig it a little tighter while
Yes.
Z goes into her hot tea. But
Well, I'll talk about, I'll say, in addition to some of the things we talked about, tea equipment is good to have on hand if you're living in a dorm. Some tea equipment that you can purchase if you're a college student, a Keurig is really good because you can buy the tea pods. An electric tea kettle if they are dorm approved only, and tea infusers. I think these are good things to either send your kids off with if they're in college, or if you're a college student, take these things with you. So let's get into some hot tea. Hot tea, hot tea, hot tea. So the Met Gala was recently held, and the category was, as Pray Tell would say, the category was American independence. So some people got it right. They were on the mark. I don't think people knew what that really meant. So it actually did fit into the theme. It was just a modge podge of just junk, all kinds of different styles. Just it was just a mess, like America is, like America is.
America,
So
I think it was appropriate.
yes, it
Do I
was.
sound like I'm beatboxing?
No, you sound
Yeah.
great.
Bam, bam,
So
bam, bam.
the Met Gala this year was co-chaired by Gen Z darlings. That was Billie Eilish, who came in like a Marilyn Monroe inspired outfit, and I forgot. I think it was Oscar De La Renta that designed her dress.
Ooh.
And the only way she would wear it is if they said that they were going to stop fur production or creating items with fur. And apparently they
Wow.
agreed to it, so she wore their dress.
Hmm.
Naomi Osaka, Timothy Chalamet. He's a darling, young, up and coming star. He's going to be in the new movie Dune. Well, the remake of the old movie Dune. So new Dune. And Amanda Gorman, who we all know, poet laureate, like just an
Hmm.
amazing,
Bright
amazing
young
woman.
star.
Yes, very much so. So there were some, highlights for me that actually were on theme. Timothy Chalamet, he actually looked like he was wearing a sweatsuit tux, and he had chucks, so that is very American. Lewis Hamilton actually bought a table, $35,000 for the table, okay, where he invited emerging black designers that don't get a
Oh.
lot of shine and recognition. So I thought
Yes.
that that was pretty dope.
Mm-hmm.
Sierra, I think, in terms of nailing the actual theme of the night, I think she hit the nail on the head. She came dressed in a American football inspired dress,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an ode to her husband and her husband's team, the Seahawks. So it was
Mm-hmm.
that lime green, and she looked
Amazing.
amazing,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And Lupita Nyong'o, she had an American blue denim dress that was designed by Versace. And
Mm-hmm.
what's more American than denim? So if you're into that type stuff, Met
Mm-hmm.
Gala type stuff, I definitely suggest that you take a look at some of the things that people came to the event with. I
Mm.
know I didn't mention this, but Rihanna came in I think it was Balenciaga, and it was like she had a Scully hat on,
Mm-hmm.
and the outfit she had actually had a hoodie. And then she said that it was an ode to some of the things that have been happening in this country with respect to black people and the police. And the hoodie has been a symbol of the Black Lives Matter movement, in a
Yep.
sense that that was one of the things that they used to identify someone as a thug,
Yeah. Go
which,
figure.
okay, whatever.
Mm.
And if you know, that all stems back to the Trayvon Martin
Correct.
um, tragedy. So yeah, so if you're into it, just take a look. Kim Kardashian came dressed as a black woman. She was dressed in all black. I don't know what she was
I
thinking.
don't know what she
It
was
didn't make
thinking.
sense to me.
Yeah, the face
Whatever.
thing. I was, but in Lil Nas X in his
Oh yes, he
draping,
came in
I
three
felt like
different
he was
outfits.
like he is a robot,
Mm-hmm.
and then the purple was like Prince
Yes.
and somebody else, but I'm not really sure who.
I don't know, but he looked he didn't look on target. But hey, I
Right.
don't know how that was American, but I'm pretty sure that they would have an explanation as to why.
I
And
just love he's living his best life.
yeah, well, speaking of Little Nas X, so he had his debut album, and I know that sounds weird because he had Old Town Road and some other songs, but the other album was an EP and he had singles. But
Hmm.
he actually dropped his debut album, which is called Montero. And I'm going to say something that's going to be controversial to some music heads. Better than Kanye's album, better than Drake's album. It is a very it is a good project. I listened to it from beginning to end. He's giving you pop, he's giving you hip hop, he's giving you country. He got Elton John playing the piano in one of his songs.
Hmm.
He's giving you 90s Blink 182. He's giving you
Uh-oh.
everything.
Blink 182.
Yes. It's a very good project.
It's a
And I'll
conglomeration.
yes. I'll say this. Whatever your opinions, even though I believe that they're wrong because they are towards the LGBTQ community. If
Okay, in that
you feel as
context.
though that it's wrong, you're wrong. But whatever your belief is, that's your belief.
Hmm.
Um, if you take that aside and you don't label him as that, and you just look at him and how he handles people who troll him, who always are providing a lot of negative criticism towards him, would you not want your child to emulate some of those characteristics? Don't you want your child to be able to face adversity, to be able to get
Hmm.
through the adversity, to be able to understand how to handle people who aren't going to necessarily think like them or look like them or act like them?
Hmm.
Um, so whatever your beliefs are in that with regards to his sexuality, that's over there. But if you look at the way that this young man actually carries himself, I think it's something that we all could aspire to because we have situations where we have naysayers in our lives or we have people who want to see us fail, don't want us to succeed, don't want us to do anything positive, or don't look at the things that we're doing as positive. So I just wanted to put that out there because I commend him for that because I think he does a really good job at that. Um, we had another versus battle, Fat Joe, Ja Rule. I tapped in and out.
Hmm. I'd be forgetting that song.
Yeah, Fat Joe called some people dusty bitches. So Ja Rule said he was going to bring some people out to assist him with the song.
Mm.
Fat Joe said, "Go ahead and get those dusty bitches. Bring them from the parking lot." Not knowing that it was going to be Vita and Little Mo. So he inadvertently called these women dusty bitches. And there's a larger conversation we can have about calling anybody a dusty bitch.
Hmm.
Granted, there are some dusty bitches out there, but when it comes to hip hop and misogyny and the way that women are treated, that definitely is a conversation that we need to have
For
at a
sure.
later date, but
Hmm.
definitely a conversation that needs to be had. He gave Ashanti and Remy Ma Birkin bags, Fat Joe did, which I
Nice.
thought was theatrical and performative, but hey,
I'm
that's
sure it
what he
was.
wanted to do.
It's
Um,
for the effect.
yeah, but the highlight of the night was Ashanti and Nelly because they used to date. So
Hmm.
Nelly must have seen Ashanti over there looking good
Oh,
across
okay.
the stage, was
Mm.
pushing people out the way to go get him a hug.
Oh, shucks. Like I ain't seen you in a minute.
I ain't seen you in a minute. And she
Mm.
did say that. She said that they hadn't spoken in 5 to 6 years. So when he came over, she didn't know what to expect. But then when she saw that it was like, oh, what's up? It's all love.
Hmm.
Then it was like, okay, yeah, it's all love back. But she just didn't know what to expect. And I think we can all understand that if you run
Yeah.
into a ex,
Yes.
you're just like, okay, I don't know what this is going to be like.
Right.
Um, so we have swollen testicles in the news.
I'm sorry. The fact that it's just the way you said them, but continue, please.
Yes. So Nicki Minaj has been in the hot seat lately for some comments that she made with regards to COVID and the vaccine. And I don't want to go too far into it because Joy Reid got involved in it, and then uh, Tucker Carlson or Carlson Tucker, what is his name? That man on
Tucker.
Fox, that's a crazy
Tuck
man.
tuck. She calls him tuck tuck.
Tuck Tuck, yeah,
Yeah,
Tuck Tuck,
little tuck tuck. Tucker
yeah,
Carlson.
yes,
He's really special.
he's very
That's all I'm
special.
gonna say about that.
He is Bill O'Reilly on
Oh my
steroids.
goodness, it's like his little. It's like if there was a little head on Bill O'Reilly's shoulder, and it got cut off, and it started to morph into something else. That would be Tucker.
Yes, he is a step above Bill O'Reilly, but just below the dude, the My Pillow guy,
Oh my god.
in terms
Yes.
of craziness. But anyway, I digress. So, I'll just say this. And, she was getting a lot of slack because people were saying that the statements that she was making is very controversial and she should use her platform in a different way, in a better way
Mhm.
to educate her followers. She doubled down. She started calling Joy Reid a Thomasina, Uncle
A
Thomasina.
Thomasina.
Yeah, Uncle Thomas, something like that.
Really?
Tamayana, something to that
Oh,
effect.
Joy has a class at Howard that she teaches on different subjects. So I'm not really sure about that. But continue.
So, So I'll say this with regards to that topic, because this was a very heated topic during our preparation. I don't, and I am also going to, I'm going to say that I don't like Nicki Minaj. So there may be some bias here in what I'm about to say,
Mhm.
but if she just came out and said there's still more research that I'm doing, I haven't gotten the vaccine yet, but I fully, support you and your family doing your research and making the best decision for you, and just left it at that, I think that it would have been fine. Um, but she was talking about her cousin's friend told him that he got the vaccine, his testicles got swollen, which, after having the conversation last night, could be possible, even though there's no trace of it. But men don't go to the doctors. We know
Unfortunately, y'all need to
that
go get checked.
we don't. That y'all won't go unless the limb is literally
Clear.
falling off.
Yes.
Let me
Yes.
tell you a quick story. My husband dislocated his shoulder, and when it happened, I was like, oh my! It was like, oh my god! It was like something out of a horror movie, and I was, what the hell? You need to go to the emergency room. Now, we were in the middle of COVID, like really when it happened. And he was like, no, just help. Like, just move it around. I'm like,
Help. Help.
I, I am, I have a JD, not a DR, not an MD. So I cannot do this.
Help how, sir?
What am I supposed to do? Twirl your arm around? Like, I don't know.
Like in the movies when they like close the door on it or
Right.
something. Like I don't.
I was like, am I supposed to do like a pop lock move
Yes.
where I take it and it's like fling your arm? I just didn't know. And he was like not wanting to go. He was like, I'll just wait until the morning. It really hurts, but I'm like, ooh,
Mm,
go to the
mm.
emergency room. What is your problem? Your arm is literally hanging
Hanging
out of
off.
its socket. And you're talking about you're going to wait until the morning?
Why don't you just help me though? Just help me real quick.
Well, I was like, what is wrong with you? So I'm just saying that to say, I know y'all don't like going to the doctor, so it's possible that somebody could have swollen testicle. However, it's just people with platforms that just need to be mindful that the people that are there listening to them, if they are,
Hmm.
and the barbs are crazy, they
Yeah.
are going to take that and they're going to run with it. Okay?
Yes, because they ended up at CDC.
They did. They did. So,
Protesting.
and then because I don't want to take up too much more time. The activists, which I told y'all, if you listen to last week's episode, I done told y'all, the activists, as it was, got canceled. So it's no longer going to be a competition show. But they did turn it into a documentary special, which it should have been all along.
Hmm.
What were you thinking? I have no idea.
What idea was that? Mm-mm.
So, and then the Emmys. Ooh, Emmy so white, Oscar so white, Grammy so white. Uh,
Oh.
shoot, I fully expect BT Awards to be so white the way that the season has been going. Like literally, no black actor won, and there were multiple nominated. The only, I mean, Debbie Allen got an award she got the governor's award, and that's for achievement, overall achievement in the entertainment field. And then Michaela Cole, who y'all know I stan, and you know how disgusted I was during during the Golden Globes award season
Mm-hmm.
when she did not get an award for I May Destroy You. You know how I felt about that. She got an Emmy for writing for I May Destroy You, and she deserved and been deserved, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. That's all I'm
Mm,
gonna say about that.
mm,
So we can go
mm-hmm.
to a break.
After that part, we're gonna take a break right quick, okay? And when we
Yes.
when we come back, we're gonna jump right into our tea time segment. And we are back. So, like we said, this topic today is about PWIs and HBCUs. So, as we're entering homecoming season, one of the most heated topics is PWI versus HBCUs. PWI equals predominantly white institutions, which myself and Z and our manager, director, producer has attended, right? And HBCUs is historically black colleges and universities. So many times we hear conversations and about the two and how they're rooted in the following questions: Are they on equal footing for prospective black? That's my B box right there. Prospective black college students, which is a better fit? To be honest, there's really no right or wrong answer. Experience is completely subjective. You can meet two students who have gone to the same school and have different feelings about it. For real, you go to Howard, people are like, that is the best experience of my life. And then another person could be like, whoo, child, the ghetto. I have heard both. I have heard both. Pitt, people read Pitt their whole life, hail to Pitt, Pitt. And then you be like, Pitt, who that? I'm not sure I know who that is. It's such a whole spectrum. So what we want to talk about in this episode is how to tackle those myths, the pros and the cons of the PWIs and HBCUs.
Right. So some of the myths that I saw were I chose a PWI because I want a real world experience. I went to a PWI for diversity. Going to HBCU is like going to high school twice. People who attend HBCUs couldn't get accepted into a PWI. Um, you have more opportunities at a PWI than an HBCU. And what I've known, what I realized and recognized when I was looking for these myths is that the myths all seem to make PWI seem perfect
Mm.
while making HBCUs seem less than perfect or the inferior choice. And that's quite unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite unfortunate because we know there are a lot of pros and cons to going to either institution, right?
Correct.
It, there just are. And these are just what we said, they're myths. I don't know if going to a PWI gave me a real world experience. I can't even say if it was very diverse because I don't even remember any other than us. I really don't. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in my classroom experience, yes, and there wasn't a lot of diversity.
No.
Sometimes it may be, especially if you get to the more specialized majors,
Mm-hmm.
you may find 4 or 5 of you in a class of maybe what,
Uh-huh.
30
Yeah.
or 100.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
So you know
Yeah, that's
it.
it's true.
So we're gonna also get into some pros and some cons.
Right. So it's been said the alumni networks at a HBCU for the pros become your family. As far as Morehouse, Howard, Spelman, my daughter goes to North Carolina A&T, and their alumni network is something I've never seen in my life. It runs deep. Is They have GHO, which is the greatest homecoming on earth. People book that stuff a year in advance, and it is like literally a family reunion every homecoming. So because I've seen that from my own eyes, I could say that on that end. And then of course we've also been at Pitt where it's different. But, if you're in a major that's male dominated or not many minorities in general, going to an HBCU that ranks well in that program will provide you with the support you need to see it through emotionally and academically. And I will say that there's definitely a pro I've heard about the emotional support at HBCUs. And the sororities and fraternities, the black experience in a black sorority or fraternity is different at a PWI than it is at a HBCU. And just there's legacies. There's so many different angles that you see come into play with that. There's generational influences that I've seen as far as going to campus and seeing that being pushed and promoted and upheld. And
And I would
yeah.
say that that's even specific to like certain universities, right? Like Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Howard is the elite university to go to sometimes when we're talking about fraternities and sororities because there few of them were founded
Right on
on
campus.
Howard's campus.
Mm-hmm.
So just that alone, the history behind that
Correct.
alone,
Mm-hmm.
you're not always going to get at a PWI. And if you do, it may not be cultivated as
Mm-hmm.
well as it's been cultivated at a HBCU.
Very true.
Because
And we all, yeah.
there's maybe not the need to preserve that history as much as you will see at an HBCU.
So true. And if you, we all know and understand that these fraternities, black fraternities and sororities, had to be created because the PWIs would not allow anyone in them. So they created their own. So that's just another reason why I think that kind of sticks in the minds of individuals as a pro for HBCUs. And then learning history from your people. There's nuances that come with that. Being in a class, when I was at Pitt, my degree is in African American Studies. But I'm sure it would have been a different influence had I been at a HBCU learning African American Studies to a degree. To a degree. There may be some other conversation for that. And then HBCUs give students a chance to learn in a safe, diverse space before having to deal with the real world. So those are some of the pros that we were able to find and whatnot. So, but there are also cons.
Yeah, and I don't say, and I'm going to say this because I think it needs to be said, even though we have a PWI experience, um, talking to friends who've gone to HBCUs, these are just some of the things that they have told us, or in our research, these are some of the things that just kept popping up as we were trying to figure out how to have this conversation. And one of the things that is very prominent, and I don't think anybody will dispute this, is that they can be HBCUs, which is a con, can be victims of the lack of adequate funding, and we see that. If you see how much money is given to PWIs versus HBCUs, it's deplorable, and there are a lot of different reasons for that.
Mm,
The alumni doesn't always
give
give
back.
back.
Hmm.
The government isn't always apt to give HBCUs funding. I mean, if we've had these bills to ensure, why do we have to have bills to ensure that HBCUs
Get
thrive and
funding.
survive? You shouldn't have to do that
Yeah.
if you're providing the same across the board. We also know that with PWIs, when it comes to funding, it's all about their sports program. A lot of these universities are able to do what they do because their sports programs are so elite that they bring in so much money. And with that, there's more funding available to provide students with other, activities. That's not always the case. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you how many D1 HBCU schools there are. I don't know if there are any. I'm pretty sure there
There
are, but I
are.
couldn't
Yes.
tell you
There are.
how many. Definitely not at the caliber as, in PWI.
Right.
I can tell you that for sure. And then even if they are Division 1, where are they?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? If Howard's a HB is a D1 school, let's just say, I don't know that for sure. Are they the same or equivalent to Pitt being a D1 school?
Such a
No. And
different.
when it's different.
So different.
So that is something that you can see and prove without a doubt. Poor facilities.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I've seen this with my own
Hmm.
eyes
Me
with
too.
visiting people. You're it's like astonishing because especially if you're coming from the
Yes.
experience that we've had, and you see some of the facilities, and again, that's all to proper funding. If
Hmm.
you're not properly funding these schools, it's hard to take care of the facilities. I mean, you think of your house. If you're not taking care of your home, it's going to fall apart.
Right.
It's going to fall apart. But if
Hmm.
you don't have money, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. And it's legislatively mandated for some of their funding, and those are some programs that I've worked on and have seen where the funding is there, but unfortunately, how it's organized at the schools, a lot of times the schools have not utilized it, and
Right.
then we have to take it back, and I've seen that firsthand.
Right.
because the school did not employ the use of funds appropriately.
Right. I mean, we just know that the state of Tennessee was forced to give the HBCU schools and the state funding that they withheld.
Mm, what is that about?
So these are real things. These
Right.
aren't like made up things. And many HBCUs aren't able to offer diversified and accredited academic programs for students. And that, again, I would say is all encompassing with funding. At Pitt, you could major in rock climbing if you wanted to. Not saying that that is well, hey, for some people that could be a lucrative
Right.
adventure.
Correct.
But at HBCUs, the number of programs that you have may be limited because you
Hmm.
may not be able to get the faculty there to teach these programs,
Hmm. Just
right?
yesterday, we did the $1 million raise $1 million for HBCUs for our sorority, because
Mm-hmm.
last week was HBCU week and yesterday was HBCU day for us,
Right.
for our sorority. So, and that goes to funding, because we see it's one of our platforms that we saw that the HBCUs were not getting what they needed. So our sorority adopted that platform to help raise money every year, $1 million each, for that day, to help them facilitate what we're talking about.
And $1 million is nothing.
Not,
And I
mm,
mean, think about when you think about these situations, like Morris Brown was not
yeah,
accredited for decades. Like that there's a deeper problem there.
we're right.
And I feel like, yes, we we were excluded from the PWI experience for a very long time, and that was why HBCUs had to come into existence and had to thrive.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that as a black person that you can't that it's almost like if I choose a PWI, it almost feels like you're taking funding or opportunity away from an HBCU, right? And it shouldn't be that way. If you want to go to a PWI, you should be able to go to a PWI, and it shouldn't affect the funding at this HBCU for any
Right.
reason. They should be on equal footing.
Easily.
They
Agree.
just should. And it's unfortunate that they're not. Um, I know recently, it was a few years ago, Bennett had to raise funds to keep accreditation. I mean, how
Hmm.
many, honestly, PWIs do you hear lose accreditation? And if they do, they're very small schools that
Hmm.
mostly people never heard about.
Right. State schools, small state schools.
USC, you're never going to hear about USC losing its accreditation. You're never going to hear Penn State lose its accreditation. University of Miami, you're not going to hear that. And that's unfortunate.
Very.
You know,
Yeah.
and I, I don't know. It's just unfortunate. And those are cons. And I do feel like the pros outweigh the cons,
Completely.
but the cons are very prominent in the thought process of deciding where to go.
Hmm. Agreed. And then, looking at the pros for the PWIs, we already touched upon it about the alumni give back more. I know as an alumni, I'm a lifetime member, and I've already done that, and I've donated to other awards and for other incoming students to my undergrad and grad. Facilities are generally better, which we touched upon, and the fraternities and sorority lines are much smaller, and we all understand why that is, because there's only about 10 of us on campus. So so
And
your
that is
so your line will not be
a
as
hundred.
right, but we get it, because if you're at a HBCU, I mean, of course you're going to be at in a black sorority. I mean, that's a portion of your school base, your
Right.
population base, your student base. So that makes sense. And then, Z mentioned the increased variety for major options, And as my daughter's in her senior year now, and trying to figure out if she wants to be in the same major that she would like to. And our son, he's in another school, which I think is a PWI, but it's a small school. And that school does not have all the majors that he wants. So he may transfer soon, because it's not as the options are not as wide for what he
But
wants.
but you heard what you said. The PWI was smaller.
Right.
Where your daughter goes to school is
Huge.
like that's top tier when we're
Yeah.
talking about HBCUs. People
Mhm.
go to that school. You know
Definitely.
that school.
Mhm.
That school rolls off the tongue of a lot of people. So to say that is unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
It's It's very unfortunate. But and I'll say this, and we could spend a whole day on this. The cons to going to a PWI,
Mm,
think may even outweigh the pros,
right.
because there's no critical mass. Well, I'll say when we went, and there are still it's still no, I'll say it's still there. Without critical mass understanding of the culture, of black culture, black students attending PWIs sometimes will feel isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens a lot because you're not catering, the school doesn't cater to a lot. It just doesn't cater, it caters to what their mass is,
Right.
what their base is.
So they kind of
So,
get overlooked.
right. I will say this though. Pitt was definitely a unique experience.
Yeah.
I can't say that, like, I felt like I was at a HBCU within a PWI. I really did.
Because we did sure
Just,
enough take trips to Howard for their for their homecoming. Or
yeah,
Pitt.
well, yeah, because I mean, clearly Pitt's homecoming was, but
Different.
but taking away from that, I mean, we had Pitt. I mean, my experience felt like a HBCU experience, just because of the fact that we all came together
Right. There was enough
to
of us for
make
union time. Hmm.
sure that we had a great experience on campus.
Right.
Um, and
Yeah.
the African American department
Hmm. African
that
American
we
Studies
had at Pitt,
Department.
yeah, the African American Studies department was run like a
For
HBCU.
sure. They
It
took
really
care of us.
was.
They really took care of us. They created a community for us. We had USEP, and those were programs. I was in Quest, which was a math and science program. And then what was the other one with the engineers? Impact and NESB, the National Society of Black Engineers. Like, we all knew who was what, where with the black experience, like with the other black students, because we all hung out in a certain part of the university. We stayed at the Union in the steps in the front, whatever that place is called. I can't remember right now. But you would know for at any given day, time of day, you could go to the Union steps or outside the Union, and there would be a whole slew of us just congregating and having our experiences and chilling, and it was just different. And I don't think that would be said about another university.
No,
You
but
know,
again, our experience definitely was unique. And I will say, I've talked to people who went to Pitt and hated it.
yeah.
And I've seen situations still where you go to places where you're not always welcome. What can happen?
Hmm.
Recently, I saw this article, this video of these football players. I forgot what school, but it was a PWI school, University of Kentucky. They played for University of Kentucky, and they saw this advertisement for a party that they weren't invited to. This is not a
Hmm.
party for them. And they go to the party, and a conflict ensues. They're trying to say somebody, one of the football players had a gun. So
Hmm.
now they were confronted by a white woman, white girl. She's saying that they assaulted her. It's just this whole big mess, right?
Right.
So now they're looking at 15 to 20 years
Yeah, that's crazy.
from this situation.
That alone.
From this situation. And it's like, yeah, you should be able to go wherever you want to go, but why do you want to go where
Where
you're
you're
not
not wanted.
wanted and where you're not welcome?
Right.
And sometimes that's the whole PWI experience.
Exactly.
I mean,
Hmm.
we did go to school with people who never saw black people
Ever.
ever.
I mean, that's how it was where I grew up, though. So I grew up.
Never.
Yeah.
But you're black. You seen black people.
Yeah, my
We talk
family.
about white people that never
Never.
saw black people up close and personal.
I think that freshman year. I don't know if you were if it was the summertime. There was a party down in South Oakland, and our party was next door to another party, a white fraternity party that was going on. All
Mm-hmm.
and our party was inside. We weren't hanging out on the porch. It was clearly a black party because you heard the bass before you got into the house. And next door were the PWI students that attended there as well, and they were outside doing keg stands, running around naked, streaking people. The cops, somebody called for a cop for the cops to come because of noise. Mind you, we're inside now. You don't see us. All you hear is the boom, boom, boom. But the music that they were playing and the hooting and hollering and running around naked, whose house do you think the cops came to? And they raided our party, even though there was white people running around naked, screaming, hollering, drinking on the lawn, and they came to our party instead. So that those type of situations happened throughout. You know, it uh, it's just yeah.
It is, and I say this: if you have a child that goes to, uh, a PWI, to really have conversations with them on a
Mhm.
regular basis about what's
Yes.
going on campus. We know somebody who went to another college in Pennsylvania that's a very big school, who got beat up. Black. He got beat up by white students, really bad, called nigger, all kinds of stuff. Um, and it's sad. Um, and then they kicked him out. They kicked him out. He got beat up, and they
Mm.
kicked him out of school.
Wow.
So, you know, looking back, I think I would have done a little bit more research into the overall experience I wanted to have in college. I don't think that I would have changed my decision because, my decision led me to where I'm at.
Mhm.
But I think I would have thought it out a little bit more. Um, Pitt gave me money, and I went where the money resided.
Where the money reside, where the money reside.
And I applied to HBCUs, and I got little to no money. So we weren't rich, and I had to go again where the money resides.
Mhm.
But I hope that for my child, that her decisions isn't going to have to be based on monetary alone, that she'll be able to make an educated decision on where she wants to go. I
Mhm.
think, though, I would have chosen an HBCU for my grad school experience. Definitely,
Mhm.
going to law school and where I was just was not a great experience for me. And I think that I would have thrived better had I gone to a school that was more friendly to my people.
Fair enough. I could definitely see that. I think I applied to a couple HBCUs, and by the time they got back to me, I was already accepted to other schools that were giving me money, and I had a little sister to think about. So like you, we had to go where the money resided because
Mm-hmm.
it's we were one of those, our parents make too much but not enough, and you still don't get any help. So but I really feel like nowadays, going being HBCU adjacent with my daughter and seeing it and being immersed in it, in the sense of the band life, the camaraderie that they have. They have like chicken and waffle night in the calf, and literally it is a party. Like
And
it
it's not
and
racist.
it's not racist. Like that's what they want, and they're there, and it literally turned into, for us, what would be a union party.
Right.
You
Because try
know
that shit at Pitt
what?
and see what
Right. I mean,
happens.
and I see the support.
unless,
Yeah.
unless the black people did it, which
Right.
probably wouldn't have happened.
Correct.
Um, and I would say that there's definitely a resurgence of the
Mhm.
HBCU with this new generation,
Definitely.
especially those who are very active in making sure that our people are seen and heard.
Yeah.
You have athletes who now
Are
are
going.
foregoing going to predominantly
Yes.
PWI to go to an HBCU. You got
Mhm.
Deion Sanders
Jackson
coaching
State.
at Jackson State. You have
Mhm.
Eddie George.
Uh, oh,
I
where is
think
it?
he's in
US
Tennessee.
Tennessee State or UC State? I can't remember.
I
But
can't remember, but because they just played each other.
right.
So you have a lot of what I like to see people give back to the
Mhm.
community that have given them so much. J.R. Smith,
Mhm.
he played basketball for many years. Now has decided to finish up his college education at A&T, and he's on the
Mhm.
golf team, which I didn't
Mhm.
even know that you could do that, but I
Yeah.
guess it's okay.
Mhm.
But the reason why I said I don't know if you could do that because the NCAA, their
Rule.
rules, red shirting. I didn't know. I guess
That
he
was
still
a
has some.
thing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
He
still
used to
some
play professional.
eligibility.
Yeah. So our producer told us the rules changed last year, so
Right.
that's probably why. you have just more people because, again, not all these HBCUs are able to, because me and my husband were talking about this. Not all HBCUs, I mean, not all PWIs have some of the prestige in terms of the students that went there that HBCUs have. So I feel like there's no excuse for HBCUs to be struggling, but I still understand why. Like if you
Mhm.
look at the people that went to Morehouse, you have Samuel L. Jackson, you have
Uh-huh.
Spike Lee.
They give
Um,
back.
they do, but not every school is fortunate to have that. I mean, look
Mhm.
at Howard's uh, alumni in terms of star power is
Mhm.
ridiculous. So there should be no reason why Howard should ever have any problems when it comes to funding or facilities, in my
Mhm.
opinion. In my opinion. But they do. I mean, they were just closed like 2 weeks ago,
Right.
but that was for ransomware. But
Yeah.
then I remember they were closed because they didn't have the boiler went out and it took them weeks to uh, get new boilers.
Right.
They had no heat on campus.
Mhm.
Like,
My
there are
ex-boyfriend went
things.
to Howard and he was like, "Yeah, we don't know when the registrar office is going to be open because they're not they're just not there or they're not
Yeah,
available. Something happened. You know, it was all or it took a while for folks to get funding and and I these you take the good with the bad in all of this and I think it's still an experience that I think if I would have like Uzi, I don't know if I would redo it, would I go? And I don't know if I would, but I'm happy that I can now experience it through my daughter. Because I
right,
appreciate her experience. I appreciate seeing the camaraderie. Appreciate seeing the support that they give to like Bowie State alumni are amazing with how they give back to their school than when we did our college tour. And then it was different from when we went to University of Maryland and our daughter was like, this is not the University of Maryland we were talking about Eastern Shore, which is the black one,
right,
So it's just, and I understand coming from where she lives down south and just what she knows and what she's comfortable with, and that makes sense. So you go with where you're comfortable with. You capitalize on the experiences, and some of those experiences are lifelong friendships. But
right.
just like how me, Z, and our producer, we've known each other since college, and we're in our 40s. So we've had lifelong experiences and friendships just the same. So it's really a matter of what do you want to get out of your college experience.
Right. And definitely don't buy into the myths. I will say that I did buy into the myth initially that a PWI was going to give me real world experience.
Mhm.
It did not.
Right.
In the sense that it's never going to prepare you for the foolishness that you're going to have to deal
Agreed.
from certain people once you leave, you know, a step into the real world. Our producer was talking about her niece going to Dell State and finding out that they had an equestrian team. Who would
Mhm.
have known? And that's what
Mhm.
I'm saying. Don't
Assume.
listen to the myths or the stereotypes. Are there some pros and cons for all of these? Yes. Are the pros and cons and the myths, some of them true? Absolutely. We cannot deny that. But
Mhm.
it's really, if you're a college student, it's really up to you to take on the to just do your research to figure out what's going to best fit you and go to the schools. Please visit the schools. Don't
Yes.
just go off of because this is a prestigious school. You may hear, yeah, USC is the shit and I'm going to go to USC, and you go there and it doesn't suit you at all.
Mhm.
And then you might go to Bennett and say, you know what, this is more my speed.
Mhm.
So you have to just make sure that you do your research. Or if you have um,
Mhm.
a child that's going into it, help them do their research.
Mhm.
Don't be so narrow minded. If you're somebody who's like, I'm never sending my child to a HBCU, don't have that type of thought
No.
process. Or I'll kill your dad if you go to a PWI. Don't have that type of, because, and I kid, but there are conversations
They had
that
them in
have
my
been
house.
had
They happened in my
about
house.
this. I had these conversations growing up. I mean, I literally got into a heated discussion with an aunt of mine because she was like, "You're going to HBCU." I'm like, "Are you gonna pay me money? Are you gonna give me money to go to this HBCU? Are you gonna pay my tuition?"
Right.
Like, this is what we're talking about. I understand the importance and the significance, but ain't nobody giving me no money.
Mhm.
And
And
you ain't coming out your pocket. So here we are.
right. And you got to think about how many people apply to HBCUs that are in positions where there is limited funds. So those schools try to disperse those funds as far as they can amongst so many students that may be in that position. So they're only going to get, they can only give but so much. We had that
Right.
with our daughter. She went under her mom so that we could make sure that she could be, her experience could be enhanced. And then her dad and I facilitated in other ways to help that experience. So you really got to think about how many other individuals are in that same space and how
Right.
far those dollars for that school have to go, for those people to be able to stay in school and really embody and experience what that could be for them. You know.
So I'm going to tell you this quick story. It's HBCU adjacent. So my senior year in college, I mean my senior year in high school, when I was doing this whole prep of where I was going to go, and I had like all of these schools mapped out, and my godmother was my mom's best friend. Her and I were talking with my mom to kind of figure all this out. And she said, I think you should go to Howard. And I said, why? Like, not to say that I didn't, but I was just like, why? You just picked Howard out of all these schools. She was like, you should go to Howard. Because I had other HBCUs on the list. She was like, you should go to Howard. And I was like, why? She said, you're going to find your husband at Howard. And I'll say, I did not find my husband at Howard, but my husband is a Howard graduate. So, had I not been defiant in that moment, maybe we'd have met each other a lot
Sooner.
sooner.
That's funny.
But to remember that, I was like, wow, like the prophecy that was. Um, but anyway, I digress. So I also say don't be so narrow minded
Mhm.
as to the potential of any of these schools for your child. Regardless of what school you attended, don't be the person still propagating this information that's false, right?
Right.
And I've had situations where I've had conversations with people who went to HBCUs and they look down on me like I was like a traitor to the race,
Yeah.
honey.
I've
Like
seen that.
I
Yeah, I've
was a
experienced
traitor
that.
to
Like,
the
what?
race.
You don't know about this. Oh, you don't
And
know.
I've been in spaces where I've seen people have conversations with people who went to HBCUs and looked at them as like, oh, you couldn't get into this school? Like, is that it? Like, you couldn't get into Temple or you couldn't get into Pitt or you couldn't get into Penn State? Like, and that is like, that's learned behavior.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
it is unfortunate that there are some people whose mentality is so like twisted that you would even think that on either side. And so we really do need to change the narrative both ways. We need to just be open minded and just understand that the choice is yours or the choice will be your child's, and to allow them to make that choice
Right.
and let them see if that choice is comfortable for them. Because you can always transfer.
Yep.
I know many of people that went to Pitt was like,
This ain't for
mm,
me.
I got to go.
Right. And they ended up going to HBCU or to
Yes,
something else, and that worked out for
right.
them.
Right. So, we just hope that this is a very surface conversation, but we just hope that it provides some information, starts a conversation or a dialogue. We want to hear back from you, so please give us your HBCU PWI experiences. Like Natalie and I said, in the future we're going to have a panel to kind of really talk about what it is that we can do to make the HBCUs better.
Mhm.
What we can do to, maybe donate our time and support, because
Mhm.
you can't really be for the culture if you ain't really gonna be for the culture. You
Hello.
understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's important.
Yep.
So we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we will get into the last for the day. And we're back. So I don't have a quote, but I just want to leave you with this: the last sip with your hood Dalai Lama. That both HBCUs and PWIs are capable of producing successful Black citizens, and we've seen it, right? We've seen it from Denzel to um, Samuel L. Jackson to Taraji P. Henson to Barack Obama to Michelle Obama. And these Black citizens can have the positive contributions to society that we all want. The choice to attend a PWI over HBCU or vice versa is not indicative of anything other than that was your choice. So I just hope again that we all just come to an understanding and maybe stop this PWI HBCU versus HBCU. This is better, that's better, because it's really nothing's, it's just your personal choice. And that's it. It's just your choice, or your child's choice, or your niece's choice, or your nephew's choice. And it should just be that. So that is the last sip of tea with your Hood Dolly Mama.
Thank you for joining us this week on Sippin' Tea with Nat and Z. As you know, you can follow us on Instagram at sippintea underscore Nat and Z underscore pod, and on Facebook at Sippin' Tea Nat and Z to get information on upcoming podcast topics, guests, and news. Thanks for listening, and catch us next episode where we get into Black is Oh So Beautiful, the beauty and skincare episode. Enjoy. Have a great week, y'all. Support a HBCU.
Bye.
Bye.